All right, so let's look at a little bit more challenging of one. This one's going to be a little more difficult, and we can tell just by looking at it. Our b is an odd number, which means when we cut it in half, it's not going to be another whole number. Um, Something else I do want to point out is I automatically have a plus sign here. This will always be a plus. All right, I want to remind you because if you multiply two negatives, you get a positive, or two positive, you get a positive. Okay, but so that's two things for this one. So I can still complete the square, even though this is an odd number. I'm going to take half of my b value and then square it. Now, a reason I wanted to go over this one with you is to show you the proper way, the easier way to leave this kind of number when we are done. All right. So normally we would divide that. We could get negative 2.5, and then we could square it. But we don't want to square that. All right. What I want to do is we're going to apply one of the rules we've learned a couple chapters ago with exponents. All right. This is actually the quotient property. I'm going to square my negative 5, and I'm going to square my 2. All right. So instead of dividing it, I'm actually going to get negative 5 times negative 5 on top over 2 times 2. And that just leaves me with 25 fourths. So that is what completes the square. All right. Now I know that's a weird looking number. It's actually, what is that going to be? 6.25, 6.25. But now comes the part, the reason why we want to leave it that way. Because recall, we want to have it factored. I want to factor it, all right, as x and x. And because this is a minus sign, I know it's going to be minus and minus. So let's say if I had this number as 6.25, do you know what times what gives you 6.25? Not so much. I mean, hopefully now we do. But if I look here, this number times this number, negative 5 over 2 times negative 5 over 2 gave me this 25 fourths. So that is exactly how we can factor this, just down to x minus 5 over 2 and 5 over 2, or x minus 5 halves squared. Okay? So now if I take a look at a more simple one we previously did, the one on the previous page, let's say, plus 12x plus what? All right. I'm going to take half of 12 and square it. Gives me 6 squared, excuse my writing, which gives me 36. So this is 36. So now, if I want to figure out what times what gets me this, we kind of know it's going to be the 6 and the 6, plus 6 and x plus 6. But this is very similar to the problem up here. It's going to be whatever I cut in half, this value is what it factors down to before we square it. Now to square it, yes, we do need to square that 6 to get what value goes in here. But when I then factor it, which we're going to be getting to shortly, that's how I can factor it. So again, looking back at the one with the odd number, which had to turn it into a fraction, when I do negative 5 halves times negative 5 halves, I do get 25 fourths, and that's great. That's good there. But what I'm going to end up doing with this is I need to be able to factor it. So simply put, if I take whatever my v value is and cut it in half, that is what it factors down to every single time.